Sweden's economic interests and response to US tariffs. Sweden's economic interests at stake reports indicate that Sweden, known for its steady approach to international trade, is preparing to take a firm stance against the United States' new tariffs. The tariffs on steel, aluminum, and potentially the automotive sector have unsettled the European Union. Sweden's message, "We are in," signals its willingness to join the EU in a collective response. Sweden has built a strong reputation in industries such as automotive. Major players like Volvo and Scania export vehicles to the US. Engineering and manufacturing. Companies like SKF play a global role. Life sciences and pharmaceuticals, a key sector with investments linked to US research centers. These sectors rely heavily on exports, and the US has been a key trading partner. However, Trump's America First policies threaten Sweden's export-driven economy, forcing the government to reconsider its trade strategy. Sweden's official stance on tariffs. Swedish Minister for International Development Cooperation and Foreign Trade, Benjamin Dusa, has made Sweden's position clear. Tariff wars have no winners, they cause unnecessary disruptions. Sweden supports free trade, a principle the government strongly upholds. Coordinated EU response. Sweden will act within the European Union's framework to ensure a proportionate and balanced reaction to US tariffs. Dusa reaffirmed that Sweden's strategy is to work closely with the European Commission, the Swedish business community, and other EU member states to develop an appropriate response. Business preparations. Contingency plans in motion. With tariffs looming, Swedish companies are making strategic adjustments, logistics and supply chain diversification to offset potential cost increases. Private discussions with US customers to assess the impact. Exploring new trade routes and alternative export markets to minimize risks. On the supply side, global giants such as Volvo, Scania, and SKF are holding talks with American partners to understand how the tariffs might affect pricing, production, and demand. Potential market shifts. A Swedish pivot to Asia and the Middle East. As tensions with the US escalate, Sweden may shift focus to new markets. Asia. Demand for Swedish engineering and technology is growing. The Gulf and Africa. Scandinavian technology is gaining recognition. Green technologies and digital transformation. These emerging sectors could open new opportunities. Despite these potential shifts, many question whether these markets can truly replace the United States, given the size and profitability of American consumer demand, the EU's collective response and Sweden's role. The EU's collective response and Sweden's role. The European Union is preparing retaliatory measures, which may include tariffs on agricultural products, alcoholic beverages, textiles and technology services. While Sweden supports the EU's response, government officials emphasize that they do not wish to cut ties with the US, particularly in life sciences and pharmaceuticals, where both countries have strong research collaborations. The EU Commission has already signaled that if the Trump administration implements tariffs, countermeasures will be taken swiftly. Sweden, as part of the EU, is likely to align with these actions while simultaneously seeking diplomatic solutions to de-escalate tensions. The risks for Sweden. Can it afford to lose the US market? Sweden's industries have deep economic connections with the US. Volvo and Scania manufacture vehicles specifically for the American market. IKEA sells massive volumes of furniture to US consumers. Life sciences and pharmaceuticals rely on US research and development collaborations. A prolonged trade war would threaten Sweden's exports and global trade stability. If Sweden does not act in concert with the EU, it risks being isolated within the European market. This could lead to economic and political consequences that Stockholm wants to avoid. Economic consequences of a prolonged trade war. If the EU and the US continue imposing tariffs, the global economy will suffer. Higher production costs in industries like automotive and engineering, supply chain disruptions leading to inefficiencies, increased consumer prices and reduced trade volumes. Some experts suggest that European firms may relocate production away from the US, while American companies may seek alternative markets outside the EU, causing further fragmentation of global trade networks. The result? Rising costs, economic slowdowns, and uncertainty for businesses worldwide. A political and economic balancing act for Sweden is facing a delicate dilemma. It must align with the EU to maintain unity. It does not want a full-scale trade war with the US. It sees opportunities in Asia and the Middle East, but these markets cannot fully replace the US. Swedish officials have privately engaged in talks to prevent the deterioration of Sweden-US trade relations. Behind closed doors, discussions are likely centered on preserving critical sectors while negotiating less aggressive tariff structures. What's next? The key questions moving forward. Will Sweden and the EU stand firm against US tariffs? Could a compromise be reached before significant economic damage occurs? Will Swedish firms pivot to new markets, or will they endure the trade war? Sweden's official stance is clear. Support free trade, respond if necessary, keep diplomatic channels open. If economic diplomacy prevails, Sweden could maintain its global trade partnerships while avoiding direct confrontation. However, if protectionist policies continue to escalate, Sweden and the EU may have no choice but to retaliate. The trade dispute remains an ongoing issue, with potential economic consequences for all sides. Whether negotiations will de-escalate the situation or a full-blown tariff war erupts is yet to be seen.